looking for evidence, you know? God, that used to piss me off. Are you filming me?
Yep.
I have a serious problem with people that can't follow simple commands.
Yeah.
Because what always happens, this is what happens, right? So you have your fire guys. Bless the fire guys. They only have a 45-minute attention span. You have to plan for that, right? What happens is in a line, the two fire guys get next to each other, and what do? They converge.
Yeah.
They come together.
Uh-huh.
And then you put law enforcement together.
Yeah. They come together.
They converge,
Yeah.
right? Then you have the volunteers who've never done anything like this before, and they're just wandering around trying to follow whoever, right? And then for some reason, a guy can't understand, like, stay with the guy to your right.
Yeah.
Stay to the guy to
Not
your
complicated.
left. How hard is that?
Not complicated. I don't understand.
I can keep going, but I'm going to stop.
What started this impromptu conversation that my wife just hit record on, we were talking about our survival scenario that we did yesterday. We headed off. Basically, the initial concept was we were heading off into a remote part of forest where we were going to set up a camp for a longer term situation. And the initial part was in a high traffic area. We needed to get through that as quickly as possible. But as soon as we got through that high traffic area as quickly as possible, we were going to duck off into the woods. We were going to handrail the road, and we were going to stay together as a group. So what happened?
Nobody handrailed the road except
I wasn't
for a
even off the road yet, and we had diverged into 3 different groups, and I had no idea where they were. Like 4 guys went one way, not handrailing the road. 4 guys went the other way, handrailing the road, and the rest of us were just waiting. Like,
What are you doing?
What is happening? Like, how did we already
And
lose?
even after we yelled at them.
Yeah.
Like, because there's several of us that actually have the training to do this.
Yeah.
I yell ahead, and they just keep walking.
Just keep going. And, okay, partially to blame, okay? Maybe solely to blame. I gave poor instructions on maybe I didn't clarify what handrailing the road meant. Maybe I didn't clarify specifically how we should stay together.
Too dry.
Maybe I didn't clarify specifically who was the leader,
See,
who's
I think
point man.
we're taking this for granted, though. We're taking our training for granted,
Yeah.
our experience for granted, because for us, it seems common sense
Yeah.
that there's a guy in front of you, you're following him, but there's also someone behind you.
You should keep track of
Why
this
should
person.
you not look behind
Just
every
to
so
see.
often, just to make sure your group is still together?
It's ridiculous. People just like flat out sprint through the woods and they're oblivious that their whole group is gone behind them. I have no clue.
You need these people. You need
Yeah.
the resources. You need the experience. What are you doing? What are you thinking about right now? What is on your mind?
Or the point man. Point man doesn't even know where he's going.
I can't even tell you how many times during that exercise when we were walking, because I was thinking we were going to have an ambush.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to be the one.
Yeah.
It's not happening to me. I will be ready for this. Right? But we would have been killed 1,000 times over on that.
For sure. Yeah. Just bad positioning. Just
Did egos get in the way?
it all could have gotten better. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yes. A lot of people think that everyone has the best idea, and I've got what my leadership is the best leadership, and I should be in charge here because I know more. I could do it faster and smoother and better than everyone else. But what happens is oftentimes that's not true, for one. And what happens is if somebody's already taking charge, generally speaking, it's a good idea to let that person take charge until they're making some sort of crucial mistake that might cost.
I had a chief one time that told me, number one, the person who's the most vocal is definitely not the leader.
Yeah.
Number two, the leader is somewhere in the field and is being quiet so that he can watch the rest of the group and he can make critical decisions once he has proven it to them in a safe environment that they're wrong.
Yeah.
Eventually, the group will look to the leader in the field to make
That's
those
smart.
critical decisions when it actually matters.
It's not always the loudest, most talkative, boisterous person in the group.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hard to do, and another thing too, like we probably should point out, I used to lead my squad from behind so I could watch my entire unit.
Well, like yesterday, the whole time, I'm looking at the front of the pack, I'm looking all the way to the back, and I'm moving from the front to the back, so we don't lose anyone, no one gets left behind. None of that stuff. If someone stops to tie their shoe, they're not like looking up like, oh crap, where did everybody go? You know what I mean? So
I think a big part of it too, though, like you just hit on it, is people don't understand like chain of command.
I don't know if we talked about this in this video, but
No.
we were simulating the Bielski brothers out of Poland. rescuing the Jews out of Poland that were getting captured, killed. Their parents were killed by the Nazis. One or two of their siblings were killed by the Nazis.
If you've seen Defiance, it's that scenario.
But anyway, these four brothers, they ended up rescuing 1,200 Jews, and they got them all to this really remote village that they built from scratch in the middle of the wilderness.
They had a school, they had a jail.
It was crazy. Yeah, just it's an incredible story. If you haven't looked into it, the movie's cool, but it doesn't really do it justice as far as the real scenario. So look into it, do some research on it. It's a pretty amazing story what they had to go through. The amount of success that they had, and they didn't get captured, caught, or discovered. Amazing, just amazing. Such little resources, but I don't know. It's just a crazy story.
So many lessons to be learned, but there's one simple lesson for you.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Keep up with your person.
One guy in front of you, one guy behind you. Don't lose them.
Like if it's not already established on a team like mine, on a spec ops team, everybody knows what their role is.
Right.
And everybody knows they have to do their work.
Yeah.
Do your job.
Yeah.
Right?
In an organized unit.
We didn't have that
though.
It's a totally different scenario.
Yeah.
And so you have a lot of people that have not been on teams before. And it doesn't have to be special teams.
Yeah. And one of the things that I like about these scenarios that we do is that people get to figure this stuff out on the fly. Like, so I like, when I do these types of challenges, I like to think of myself as a tour guide. Right?
Yeah.
I'm guiding the experience. I'm not necessarily in charge of the experience. I don't want to make all the decisions.
You do a really good job.
I could have, it would have been so much easier and so much smoother if I would have just said, hey, you and you do this, and this. Not that I'm an amazing leader, it just would have simplified the organizational structure of what we were doing. Right. But going into it like a chaotic, like
you're allowing people to learn these lessons.
Yeah. You're trying to make it as real as possible.
In a realistic scenario, like that wouldn't be the thing with civilians.
We wouldn't let it happen.
Right. You would have a whole bunch of people that would, in a chaotic situation, being like pushing to take charge, or a whole lot of people looking around and no one taking charge, which happens a lot.
This is a very valuable thing too, because a lot of times people say, people in law enforcement, first responders, military guys, that they are separated emotionally from a group, and that's by design. Sometimes you have to allow an emergency on your part doesn't constitute one on mine. Right. If you are going to make the decision that you are going to actively get yourself killed, I don't have to follow you.
Right.
Yeah. So in real life, I would have gotten with the guys that I could trust, and we would have left. That's what would have really happened. And not to say that I would sacrifice somebody or whatever in that case, but when it comes to a life and death scenario, you have to make critical decisions like that.
Sure. Yeah.
I want to save the whole entire world.
Right.
That's what I tried to do for 14 years.
But you can't.
But you can't. Yeah. And that's something you have to learn the hard way sometimes.
Yeah. No. I like the dynamic. I like seeing the struggle, and inevitably when you're cold and tired and hungry, like people get irritated with one another when you got to work through all that stuff, and that's all normal, totally normal stuff. And we saw that a little bit yesterday, and it was only 24 hours, and it wasn't even that miserable.
After 3 days it could come apart. It would take the discipline and experience to get through it.
Yeah, and by then, hopefully, I feel like we could have developed a more organized structure.
Well, another thing too, like what you're creating with this scenario is we're working together.
Right.
And if some kind of scenario did happen, they would know who to depend on for whatever.
Because we've experienced it. That's the thing, If you don't go out and train it, and you don't work with these people with your team,
they're learning their lessons in a safe environment. If something was critical, somebody's life was in danger, obviously we would step in and say, stop, real world.
Yeah, don't do that.
Right.
Yeah. But I like to see people struggle. I like people to fail, because they learn a lot from the failures, right? If you didn't get a fire last night,
that's the best way to learn.
Yeah, you'd be miserable. And then you'd be highly motivated to learn how to start a fire. Right?
That was pretty cool in the debrief. A lot of people brought that up.
Yeah.
I think they did.
What made them miserable?
What is the point of this video? What are we doing? She just turned on the camera and started filming, and here we are.
I don't know what is the...
Do we even have an outro?
Leadership.
I don't know.
You have to let the subject matter expert take control of whatever the scenario is. Whoever has the most experience in that field should be the one directing traffic.
Okay, so yes, I agree with that for 100%. But in the absence of that, let's say you've got a chaotic situation where things are going south really fast, and no one's really a subject matter expert. Any decision moving in the same direction is better than no decision.
A good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow.
Yes. So if you're standing around wondering who's in charge, it's you. Like, start making decisions, start organizing. Anything in the right direction is a positive movement. Because just standing around idle is not helpful. I guess the cliff notes of that was showing up to Hurricane Helene to help out because of the disaster that happened there. And
2 days after.
You walk into the Wild West. I mean, there are no
It's chaos.
rules. No
It's
rules.
only somebody who's been in that scenario
Yeah.
understands.
Just absolute craziness. And you walk into this place and you're like, well, I want to do something. I want to be helpful. There's clearly no one in charge here. If there is someone in charge, I don't know where they are. I don't know who they are.
Right.
So, well, let's just start being
do
productive.
something.
Let's just do things. So yeah,
Which can be dangerous.
yeah.
By the way, we're not encouraging you to run
Yeah,
into the
not
fire.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you do it.
Yeah.
Then you become part of the problem
Yeah.
rather
Yes,
than part of
that's
the
a big-
solution.
Yeah, it's definitely not for everyone, I guess.
Yep.
And if you get hit in the face with a stick from the person in front of you, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's nobody's fault but yours. You're walking too close to them. Spread out a little.
5 yards.
It's not complicated.
5 meters,
Yeah,
10
like,
meters
oh
at the
man,
most.
you just hit me with the face with a stick. Shut up. It's your fault for standing right behind me. I can't help the sticks.
Yeah. Do the right thing.
Do the right
Just
thing.
do the right thing.
That's the end of the video.
Common sense.
Bryant said he learned a lot about the handrailing though,
Yeah.
and he said that was amazing. I was asking all of them what they learned. He said, "Oh man, he loved that you taught him that, and using his terrain to stay concealed while he still had eyes on people."
Yeah.
If you like rando videos, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification
Yeah.
bell.
And fuel the fires and
Fuel the fires and
what's the
all
worst
that
that
good
can
stuff.
happen?
On
It's on
three.
3.
Bye.
See ya.
Squirrel, ducks.
All right. I'm done making videos.
Yeah.
Good job, everyone.